Let's go crazy. Let's get nuts. Oh, sorry. Listening to Prince. Kind of been a bad day today, April 21st, 2016. Probably going to remember this for quite a while. He was one of my favorite artists, and you know, you're going to be dearly missed. Well, Man Cavians, I'm Bob from Bob's N-Scale Man Cave, and today is part 5 of how to build a floating shelf railroad. And today's episode is going to be DC or not to DCC. That is the question. And I don't have a whole lot to show you today because my railroad's kind of a mess right now, and I'm kind of in a turmoil of what to do. I have a want to go DCC, but I also have DC engines, and I don't have controllers that I want, nor do I have the decoders purchased for the engines, but I still want to run the engines, but they only work in DC. Now, Digitrax will let you run an engine without a decoder in it in DC mode by coding in locomotive number 00. But that is hard on the DC motors. It's not really running clean DC voltages, so it's got a wear and tear on the locomotive, and I don't want to do that. So I hook up a DC power pack to it and run my stuff that way. Now, my problem is wiring. If I go DCC and I have reverse loops and I want to use DCC controlled automatic reversing, I can't run any DC stuff on the layout because it'll fry the circuitry. I can't put other DCC stuff like power management and everything else because it's expecting DCC signals and voltage levels. If I put DC voltage to it and it's variable voltage, it's not going to work. It's probably going to fry it. And a lot of things say, you cannot run this on DC. You will blow it up and not get a refund. So, can't do it. But you can wire your layout for DCC in a bus format and put in blocks if you want to and separate it all out with circuit breakers and so forth. But you can't have those other things. How do you run DC and DCC on the same wiring schematic? Well, you take a double throw, double pole switch with center off, and you wire in the output from the DCC controller and the DC controller, one to each side of that switch. So when you toggle the switch from one to the other, now that system's running the layout. Switch it back when you want to go to the other one. On a simple layout like mine, I just have a main line and a helix and eventually a yard and reverse loops. And so, rather easy. But I want to put in some automatic reverse loops, and I'm going to have a turntable, and I'm going to have programming track and things like that. It doesn't really work unless you have DCC. Especially when I want to expand into more stuff and control things remotely someday. It just ain't going to work without all those decoders and addressable things to add in there. Stationary decoders, power management, all sorts of stuff. It just isn't going to work. So, I've decided that I'm going to go all DCC. And I did a poll to find out what you guys thought, and most of you said go with all DCC using NCE as your system. So I think that's what I'm going to go and do. And maybe even do some JMRI later on, and maybe control it off my wireless phone, and get another router, set up a separate network for the wireless signal, and just run my trains that way. That way I'm not interfering with the real internet in the house. So, how do you wire the layout? Well, the way I'm going to wire my layout on my floating shelf is kind of in the works, but this is the plan. 2 bus lines. One bus line is going to be the main bus line for the yard. The other one is going to be the bus line for the reverse loop. So that's powered separately. That'll be in a separate district, separate from the yard, separate from the helix, separate from the main line, separate from another section on the main line. You know, as it goes, bigger and bigger, bigger. So I'm using 14 gauge house wire. I'm using stranded wire because it's a lot more flexible and easier to work with in these tight environments, and it's, you know, you can make it go where you need it to go. So I'm going to wire those bus lines near the front of the layout, and then when I put the feeders in, I'm going to solder the feeders to the bottoms of the flex track, and then stick a 14 gauge ground wire right through there, a solid wire through the foam, and right near where the tracks or the shelving brackets are located, because it's thinner there, and just run all the feeders down through there, and then I can gain access to it from underneath, because there's 2 layers of foam. The top layer is where the track's going to be located, and the bottom layer is all little pieces of foam to keep it kind of stable. And so I can slide those pieces off on the front and do my soldering or crimping with solderless connections a lot easier. And then just shove the foam back into place and it's all hidden. I also going to have to put on a dogs don't like what I'm saying. I have to put a fascia on, and so still working on how I'm going to do that. Probably going to do some custom work there, but I'll show you how to do that when I get to that point. So Mancavians, the Man Railroad is taking its sweet time right now. I got a lot going on at work, I got a lot going on at home, so it's springtime, things have to be done on the yard. I can't promise when the next episode will be, but hopefully it won't be September. It should be here in the next week or 2. It'll probably be a part 5A and maybe a part B. I'm not sure yet. I also have a few things I got to do, like I got to take all the shelving down, and I'm going to stain the wood that's on the bottom and make it all look nice and pretty, and then put it all back up again. And also have to build another shelf and tunnel through the closet wall. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So I can have my reverse loop come back and go back up the helix eventually. So I got a lot of things to do. So if you like what you saw here today, Mancavians, click up here and subscribe. Or click on the links down here below in the comment section, like my Facebook page and my Google Plus page, and follow me on Twitter. That way you get updates on new videos like Part 5A, Part 5B, Part 6. Hey! So, till next time, Mancavians, happy model railroading, and stay off the tracks.